How can leaders stay ahead of the curve to secure global events? I'm Mike Loader. Ending Cyber Risk starts now. Hello everyone and welcome back to Ending Cyber Risk, presented by the team at Arctic Wolf, where each episode we unpack the ways we can put an end to risky cyber behaviour. On this episode we discuss the risks associated with critical infrastructure, and joining me to outline the latest is Mark Thomas, Director Security Services, ANZ at Arctic Wolf. Wonderful to see you. For those that don't know, what is critical infrastructure, I guess, and why is it so important to understand the cyber risk associated with it all? It's quite a big topic. Take us through just to start.
Critical infrastructure really makes up all the assets and facilities required for societies to function. So think power plants, electrical grids, water treatment facilities, hospitals, and so forth. These organisations, they carry more security risk because the threat profile is essentially larger and the consequences are often more severe. They're lucrative targets for bad actors seeking to shut down parts of the economy or even place people in immediate danger. So cyber criminals, for example, they're more likely to extort ransoms from victims in critical infrastructure and essential services, precisely because system availability is paramount.
Yeah, absolutely. So what challenges that come along with securing this critical infrastructure on a large scale? I can only imagine with events coming up, we've got the Olympics approaching, etc. Take us through some of those challenges.
Yeah, actually, the critical infrastructure and the likes of the Olympics have a lot in common. The risks come in both the form of physical and digital. Because there is such a large attack surface, it can be very difficult to protect that environment. So there's a tremendous amount of collaboration that's required across different levels of government and the private sector. So with the Olympics, we expect to see not only attacks targeting sponsors, but also anti-doping agencies, media, infrastructure providers, and of course, potential attacks on the public itself, athletes, officials, spectators. So in terms of cybersecurity, it does require collaboration between Paris organisers, international committee, intelligence organisations, law enforcement, security companies as well, just so that bad actors won't be able to successfully carry out a games-destroying attack.
Okay, so what are some cybersecurity trends that security leaders should watch out for ahead of the Olympics, for example?
So potential threats to the Olympics really around supply chain. There's no doubt hundreds of vendors that will be playing a key role here, so that games do go off without a hitch. Each of those vendors has interconnectivity, right? So they're working with each other. They might be providing access to sensitive systems, and potentially attackers might be out to cause disruption there. So we have seen attacks and trends around generative AI, where bad actors are using social engineering techniques to target individuals and games athletes. They're often spamming on social media platforms, trying to get people to click on malicious links as well. But we also have to be on the lookout for AI-enabled disinformation campaigns, deep fake audios and videos. We know that in the past they've targeted celebrities, but this time around it's very likely that they'll target the games athletes as well.
Yeah, and I'll extend that to the election in the US as well. It's always interesting to see what's going on. So what do organisations, I suppose, need to know about the cyber posture and I guess the defence of critical infrastructure at these large-scale events? Take us through a little bit more about it.
So the ability for bad actors to cause material harm to infrastructure and people is real, and the consequences exist beyond just financial and reputational damage. So in terms of people, engaging employees to make sure that they're cyber savvy, educating them how to report phishing and social engineering scams, making sure that they have some type of strong passwords in effect, maybe multi-factor authentication. Keeping devices and applications updated is really critical as well. And also just make sure that within critical infrastructure that you are testing out your incident response processes to ensure that they're delivering the right outcome in terms of business continuity and resilience. And lastly, I'd say, ensure that you have some type of security monitoring in place, that you are in a position to respond rapidly to threats if and when they do occur.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk a little bit about the rapid evolution of the threat landscape over the last 2 years. How has it changed, and I guess the strategy when it comes to defending critical infrastructure? Just to finish for me.
Well, the landscape is always changing, right? And especially regarding AI, cyber threats are becoming more difficult to detect, even with the best resources available. For businesses, I think we've seen increased adoption of risk management frameworks, improved incident response processes, security monitoring capabilities as well. And here in Australia, we've also seen more government and industry intervention when it comes to regulation. So mandatory breach reporting, legislation updates for critical infrastructure. There's improved public and private sector information sharing for threats and best practice advice from ACSC and the National Cyber Coordinator. But if each employee is trained to be more cyber aware, bad actors are going to have a much tougher time in carrying out these attacks.
Yeah, reducing that threat landscape. I want to thank you for joining us on the program, keeping us up to date with what's going on, especially when it comes to cybersecurity and how we go about ending cyber risk. Mark, thanks for your time.
Cheers, thank you.
All right, this is Ticker. Hopefully you've learned something so far. I look forward to seeing you again very soon, right after this.
You're watching Ticker. We'll have more in just a few minutes.